Selamat siang, selamat datang kepada semua. A very good afternoon and warm welcome, Dr. DeVos, Jim, Brian, and Sean, and also, of course, Nuch and Bob. Welcome to Indonesia once again. Glad to be back here to see so many old friends, old faces. And, YME Indonesia, as you know, as Kun has mentioned, has done very well in 2012. 2012 is a fantastic year for Amway, globally as well as in the region. Southeast Asia in 2012 has become a $1 billion region. Thank you all for your contribution to make that happen. In 2012, all the 6 markets in Southeast Asia all achieved growth. And out of the 6 markets, 4 of them have achieved record sales revenue, namely Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. So we believe that Amway Indonesia is going to be the other market that is going to achieve record sales in the coming year. Although we had a number of declining years since 2009, but in 2012, last year, we bounced back strongly. And again, in the first 3 months of this calendar year, Amway Indonesia grew by double digit. With this kind of growth rate, we are very confident that Amway Indonesia will break record this time round. I'm just going to take a few minutes to share with you, the story of 1 degree. As you know, water in 211 degrees is hot water. But when the water temperature reaches 212 degrees, it boils. And when it boils, it turns into steam. And the steam can power even things like locomotive. Steam can generate a lot of thermal energy in the world. It's only 1 degree between 211 and 212. In 2008 Olympic, Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer from the US, won the gold medal in the 100-meter butterfly event. He beat his next best competitor by only 0.01 seconds. In 2012 London Olympics, the champion and the last person for the 800-meter run, the difference in timing is only 3 seconds. So what I'm saying is, sometimes the difference is 1 degree is very little. Thomas Edison said, many life failures are men who never realized how close they were to success when they gave up. Indonesia, we all know that it's the biggest economy in Southeast Asia. Indonesia is the only country in Southeast Asia that is a member of G20. And Indonesia economy has been growing great in the recent years. Indonesia economy is 2.5 times the size of Thailand. Indonesia economy is 3 times the size of Malaysia. The Amway business in Indonesia is only 10% of Thailand today. It's only 20% of Malaysia. I want to look at it from a very positive perspective, which means that there is tremendous potential in this marketplace. We have great belief and confidence in this market. Why we haven't become bigger? We haven't found the right formula in the right spot. It takes 1 degree sometimes. We know there is potential is there. We know we have great leaders who can make it happen, and it will happen. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he successfully invented the electric bulb. And he said, we just got to continue to try. We will find the right formula, and we will be there. As a company, we will continue to work with you, and we'll continue to support you as we travel this journey of success. So we look forward to Amway Indonesia become one of the top markets in the world. Have a great afternoon, and thank you.
Hankee, you were hired as an accountant, and he's turned into a motivational speaker. Shows you what Amway can do to all of us, whether we're IBOs or whether we're employees, the excitement this business provides. First of all, I just want to say congratulations, and it's so great for me to be back into Indonesia. I think it's been 5 or 6 years since I've been here. I was having lunch with Robert and Sonia today, and he says, you abandoned us. And I really didn't abandon you. I just didn't have responsibility over Indonesia.
Yeah.
So it's an honor for me to be back here with all of you and to have a responsibility over Amway. Over the years, I've been able to see this market go up and go down. And it's a tribute to every one of you in the room that the success that Indonesia has had, not only this last year, but really over the past 20 years. You know, you heard it from Kuhn, you heard it from Hankee. This business is built on belief and confidence. The stronger your belief and the stronger your confidence, the stronger the business is going. And that's why Doug DeVos is back here today, because he, along with Steve Van Annel, and the rest of the Amway staff, have tremendous belief and confidence in Amway. You know, Kuhn talked about some of the goals that we want to set out for 2016 as far as the 100 million, the 500 platinums, the diamonds and emeralds, and those are fantastic goals. But we're here to tell you, we truly do believe that Amway Indonesia, within the next 5 to 8 years, can and will become one of the top 5 markets in the world of Amway. And why is that? Because of the people in this room. All it takes, Hankee talked about the 1 degree, that 1 degree that makes water boil. It's a 1 spark from somebody in this room that can take this business to greater heights. I look at a market like Amway Korea, 40 million people. They had a lot of ups and downs. But a gentleman by the name of Leonard Kim had a belief and confidence that he was going to change the face of the business in Korea. He, along with other leaders like Dr. Ju, believed that they could change the business in Korea. And their spark took Amway Korea to one of the biggest markets in the world of Amway, with only a population of 40 million people. They're now, for Founders Council this next year, Amway Korea has 12 to 15 people coming to Founders Council. They have over 300 diamonds. They have some of the highest productivity in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, Amway Indonesia can surpass Amway Korea. At the employee meeting today, we talked about that. We talked about how Amway Indonesia could be one of the top 5 markets in the world of Amway. And one of the employees asked a very good question. He said, when this business started in 1992, I think it was Doug's brother Dan was over here for the opening, and he also said that Amway Indonesia in 1992 could become one of the top 5 markets in the world of Amway. The employee asked, what's it going to take? We said in 1992 we were going to be in top 5. Now it's here, 2013, we're going to be in the top 5. What's it going to take for us to be in the top 5? And Doug's answer was, it has to start here. It has to start with that belief and confidence. And I think the great thing is that after 20 years, Doug and Steve aren't saying, we don't believe in Indonesia anymore. Doug and Steve are still saying, Amway Indonesia can and will become one of the top 5 markets. You know, we know it's not easy to achieve that. And probably the biggest thing, it takes what we want to call trusted partnership between each other. Trusted partnership between the company and all of you as leaders. I've been in the Amway business almost 30 years. And the single biggest reason why a company goes up and down is when that trusted partnership between the field and the company starts a dividing line. We've had governments attack us. We've had media attack us. We've had other companies trying. But I'm here to tell you that if we continue with the strong foundation that we have here in this room of that trusted partnership between the field and the company, there's no stopping this business in Indonesia. So here's my vision and goal for all of you. Amway Corporation will be celebrating its 60th birthday in 2019. Do you believe Amway Indonesia could be a top 5 market by? We believe that, and we look forward to supporting you every single day. And again, on behalf of all of us, we just want to say thank you for all that you've done for the business, how you've stuck with the business, your ongoing commitment to the Amway business here in Indonesia and around the world. Thank you.
I'd like to begin. Thank you, Yanti. Thank you, Andy, our old friends and longtime friends since our activities together in Medan. And especially the diamonds and the leaders from Medan that we met together 2 years ago. Thank you, Amway Indonesia, for inviting us to be here in Jakarta for the first time. And Kun, you surprised me. You speak a lot of Bahasa. Last night I was practicing to surprise you, then I gave up already. And of course, thank you, Hankee, for always being with us, no matter where I am in Southeast Asia, always see you and Helen. And especially for our Jim and Doc that always give us support no matter where we are in the world. Thank you very much. You may think that I don't know you, right? But I do. You know what? When I started Amway business when I was 21, I had a chance to went on eBay and search for old tapes about Amway history. And I listened to you, Robert Akasa. Oh my gosh, this is legend. I still remember the sentence you always say in the end of your speech, do your utmost and God will do the rest. And for Johannes, my wife told me about your speech in Sydney, in Australia. Incredible. And great thing is we all here together in this room in Jakarta. Please give an applause to yourself. All right, so today, 1 hour we have together. I have no idea what I'm going to speak to you guys because we all leaders. And Amway, Andy called me when I was in Los Angeles telling me about talking points, that what we're going to be talking today in the leadership meeting. And Andy told me, and so energetically, tell them about what Gen Y is, tell them that how to motivate Gen Y, how to attract Gen Y. Well, in fact, I tell you this. Of course, I am a Gen Y. And you used to be young too, right? And many of you still young at heart. Don't forget that, okay? Don't ask me, okay, Bobby, how to motivate young people? Come on. We all were young before. You're supposed to motivate me when I get a little bit older. How do I keep motivated? So, with all respect I have for you, many of you are like my parents. With all due respect, sirs and ma'am, you raised me up. You raise people like us up. So I think you have a very clear idea how to raise, those kids up. How many of you have children already? Really? A lot. How many of you have a children aged between 20 to 30? So you know exactly how to raise these kids, right? Sometimes I try to understand how my dad think of me. So I try watching the movies from the 70s, like Grease. And I was wondering, is that how my dad dressed like John Travolta? Dancing like this, something like this. So you were young before. And I still remember I heard my mom complaining about her childhood and her teenage life with grandma. The same message. I think when you were fighting with the parents about your teenage life, I think it's the same thing when we were fighting for that too. So I don't want you guys to understand it wrong that Gen Y are something like special attention. No, we don't need any special attention. We're just like young kids. But something is different is we grew up seeing you building your life. When you complain, we hear. So we don't want to be like our parents' generation. Okay? But funny thing is, I always tell my downline, we have much better education than our parents. Much better technology. But how come we never make much money like them? The parents always seems to make more money than us. That's why sometimes it's very nice to stay in the house. And the way you raise us so comfy, so comfortably. Am I right? Then I asked my mom, why you raise us like that? By the time we were born, I was born in 1982. So this year I'm going to be 31. So I'm not that young anymore, right? So they asked my parents, so did you spoil us? Of course they didn't spoil us. It's just the fact that we live much better life compared to when they were growing up. Right? Because whatever you missed out in your childhood, you give it to us. This is a big problem for Gen Y people because they seem to have so many choices in life these days. I think before, the idol for older generation might be like musician or some kind of Hollywood star, I don't know. But our generation now, our idols are not only in music industry or in movie industry, in business industry also, in technology industry. So we have all kind of information. Who is our role models in life? So a little bit about my background so you understand how a Gen Y enters into Amway business. My dad is 40 years older than me. He's a nerd. He studies so good, 4.0 GPA, stuff like this. So he went to study in the US, in New Mexico. So he graduated master's degree when during the time that Neil Armstrong went to the moon. So this is my background, my family. Dad was an engineer working for the government, and he spent 35 years working for the government and became a vice president for the Waterworks Authority of Thailand. My mom was a politician and doing a lot of community works. And my mom's family business they make instant noodles. I think you know mee goreng, right? In the US or somewhere outside Thailand, we always go out for Indonesian instant noodles. Have you heard of Thai Kitchen? The red box with the black Thai Kitchen? That's my mom's family business. We were the largest producer of rice vermicelli. Funny thing is, our business started in 1959. Then my dad told me when we were young that you don't have to do your family business. You can choose whatever you want. And that's when it's changed my life. So I decided, okay, I want to be anything. They told us, right, when we were young, you can be anything in the world. From astronauts to medical doctors. I made my decision in 1996 that I want to be an investment banker. Just from one movie I watched. Do you remember Pretty Woman? I remember I watched Richard Gere. I said, man, he looks so cool, right, in that movie. And then the lady in the movie, Julia Roberts, asked him, what do you do? He said he buys company and chop them off and resell the companies into bits. I didn't know what that is, but it looks cool. And then I said, okay, we invest in banking, I know what it is, but I will be in finance. So it's just like a pure kid thing, you know? And sometimes we tend to forget that kid feeling. But I kept it fresh. Then I read a lot of books. Then it was starting my life in GE, General Electric. In Thailand, they formed a bank called GE Money. So I was working there since 19, even before I graduated. Because so lucky that my best friend, dad, is the major shareholders of GE Money in Thailand. And he built business with Jack Welch back then. They're looking for young kids to build the business with. So I was one of them. So then I focused on being investment banker. And how many of you are in finance? How many of you? Yeah, I remember Hankee was in finance. But you know what? That job made me more evil and evil every day. When we're thinking about giving loans to someone, after we have a talk, right, like a loan interview talk with the customer, my boss always asks me, okay, let's come up, like after meeting in Amway, QC, what do you think? Of course, in terms of all the technical stuff, this guy not deserve a loan. But I feel something in him. I told my boss that we should give this guy the loan. And if we have the money and we're not supposed to support them, why we do business as a bank? Then he sent me to the risk department. He said, bank is not a business of believing to people. Bank is a risk-taking business. I said, that is the first time I started to feel that this is not my place. Then if I keep working in this bank for another 10 years, then I know who I'm going to be like. I'm going to have a lot of wrinkles. I'm going to start looking people as asset or liabilities. And start betting on their future, that their future going to benefit me or not. Then along came a book by Robert Kiyosaki. Of course, it was banned in finance world. Sometimes the finance people call him rookie. I like the way he talks in the book. I gave this book out to many of my friends in the bank. And they sent me back, they said they read the preface and it makes no sense. How in the world a house is not an asset? Right? You remember the book, right? The book is trying not to put any meaning to anything unless you give the meaning to it. Then I feel like, how come these people don't even listen? That's why I find it very easy to do Amway. Then, back then, right? Then I read the book in 1999, something like this. And then by the age of 19, he talks about network marketing. So I don't know what it is. So I went online, talked to Mr. Google. And Mr. Google told me and Amway shows up. Which is my mom's friend who's trying to sell something to her. And my mom loved the product, but my dad always complains. That's the original picture of my version of Amway. But lucky enough, I didn't decide to believe myself. I trust the author of the book. So I emailed Amway Thailand. Dear Amway Thailand, I don't know what Amway is. I want to learn more about Amway business. Please send me application and something to start with. Thank you. Then, to make a long story short, then I signed up with someone that Amway recommended. That is how I started Amway business. But that was when I was 19. Another 2 years, I still didn't start the Amway business. So the idea behind is that I was having so many choices in life. I read a lot of books. 10 things I want to do in my life. First thing was finance. Second was real estate. Third thing was buying a franchise. And the list goes on and on. Number 10 is Amway. Hey, come on. At least number 10, okay? You're trying to tell someone that how good Amway is and trying to tell the people who already know Amway that it's good. It's tough. So I knew Amway is a good business. But wait until I finish all the 9, then I start Amway. And I was only in the list number 1 and number 2, not even the rest of the list, yes. Then I came back to Amway. And that time is when I decided to start my own business. I started an online outsourcing business. We wanted to be like the next Hotmail back then. When we came about, when the Amway idea came to us, what makes a difference between 19-year-old and 21-year-old when I started Amway business? Why I didn't start? I just only knew it's good, but I didn't start. And that is what I want to share with you today. When you listen to the song in the opening, it says, I'll give my all. So when you're trying to accomplish something in your life, you give it all you've got. You set up a priority in your life. Of course, besides your family, your religious belief, and everything, that's your priority in your life. But what is the first thing in your earth life? So April 2004 is when I decided to commit to succeeding in Amway business. So I said to myself, I will finish this business. But finish is a big word for a business like Amway. Finish, back then, I was thinking about being crown ambassador, making enough of residual income from Amway, then do something else. Of course, along the way of building Amway business, Amway changes you. And sometimes we hear things like this, that sometimes you don't choose Amway, Amway chooses you. It might sound creepy, for some new people. But for leaders, you think you feel this? Sometimes it seems so true, right? Because we have seen many people give up. Many of those have enough potential to be whatever they want. But somehow along the way, they give up. So the first thing I want to share with you today, as the leaders, platinum and above, do we really know what Amway is really all about? If you think of Amway like a source of extra income, then you will get an extra income from Amway. If you think of Amway as a career, of course you will make a living from Amway. But if you think of Amway as a money-making machine, you will have a lot of money. But if you see Amway like a lifestyle, Amway will change your life. I have seen many people around the world building Amway business successfully. But how many people change their life? And how many people change other people's life? Of course, when I heard this idea, when I joined Amway, it sounds a little, I don't know. You know what I mean, right? It sounds like, come on. Helping people, not my thing. And even for platinum, it's very hard to take in the idea of helping people live better lives. So when I look back in my timeline in Amway, then I know one incident changed my point of view. That is when you become emerald and 3 of your platinum legs change their life. You see them buy new cars, they never fight with the wife and the girlfriend and the boyfriend anymore, and the family become happy. So what is Amway to you? Because many speeches that we have seen, and we have a lot of people coming and ask, okay, what am I missing? What did I do wrong? Am I one of those people who can really succeed? Many people have self-doubt. I want to assure you and encourage all of you platinum and above that you have all it takes to become anything in Amway. Success, don't worry about that. As long as you go out to do the job every day, it might be slower than others if you compare with them. If you never stop walking, you will get there. Do you agree? Let me see. You have to tell me the truth, okay? Because only if you tell me the truth, then we can move it forward. Before today, how many of you lost hopes? How many of you still have hopes? But you cannot see the end of the tunnel, what it looks like. It's okay to have that feeling, because it will change today if you understand the whole picture of what we are trying to do in Amway. Raise your hand. How many of you lost hope before? Be proud about that, because that's the truth. How many of you don't lose hope, but you don't see what it's going to be like in the end? Let me tell you this. You have all the power to succeed. It would be a lot of time wasting if we talk about how to succeed. Because at the end, all of us will succeed. But how we succeed is more important. Let me talk about success. If Amway have a new department, we call this new department IBO Dreams Fulfillment Department. Do you know how to sponsor the people? You have to be energetic, okay? How many of you know how to preview, how to sponsor the people, how to show the plan? Of course, all of us do. How many of you know how to demonstrate the products? How many of you know how to encourage people? How many of you know how to hold a whole meeting? We all know. You know how to sell the products. You even know more that you know how to make people fall in love with the products. So you think you know all the things? But what's stopping you from moving up to diamonds or crown ambassadors? You have what it takes. Let's come back to this new Amway department. Maybe this new department run by Andy. All you have to do is every Sunday, you all submit the name list and the telephone number to Andy. You just make sure you have two lists. The list of business opportunity prospect and the list of product prospect. Then, everybody give this to Andy. And every Monday morning, Amway calls you, every one of you. What's your name, sir? Jaya. Hi, good morning, Jaya. We managed to set up 5 appointments for you. 2 of them are your high school friend, another 2 of them are your college friends, and 1 of them are your colleague in your work. 2 of them super excited about the Amway Nutrilite products. They want to hear about the Nutrilite and they want to use the product. We make an appointment with them at 2 a.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday at 8 a.m. at the Grand Indonesia. And the other 3, all of them super excited about business opportunity. They told us they might not join, but they want to listen to you anyway. Do you want this department? All you need to do, list out the people you know. Give them to Andy. Then Andy making phone calls and makes set up an appointment for you. How many of you can preview 10 people in a day? You see, we all can do it. We just don't manage ourselves enough to be able to create those jobs. You agree? If we have this department, we're all going to be diamond analysts next year, right? How many people are willing to go out to work like crazy like that? All of us, right? But no one can do that job for you. If there are such department, Andy would already become IBO. So all we need in Amway business, sometimes it's not about hope. Sometimes it's not about, can we do it? It just, you don't do it. You know, many people ask me, Bobby, what is the best country to do Amway business? You know, many ISD program, you have ISD program in Indonesia. People say, hey, is it good to go to Indonesia? You know what, from my experience in Amway, even though I'm only in Amway business for 8 years, but it's not 8 years in the business, but it's 24 hours thinking, reading, learning about Amway for the whole straight 8 years. So the best country, there's no such best country in Amway. For example, Amway Papua New Guinea open. And as long as there are people who are willing to change their life and they become leader and they're willing to do whatever it takes, of course Amway works. Amway is never about the country. It's always about the people in those countries. As long as there are people there and there's your commitment to succeed, any country works. And for me, my wife and I are only just a couple of examples from Thailand. We have seen how Amway Thailand enjoys success. And we have seen how many countries are struggling to keep on going and fixing and solving their problems. When coming to Indonesia, I don't think you don't have that much problem. The economy is great and the people are great. And of course, and you cannot just wait for the company to motivate you. We have to motivate the company. I never seen you guys motivate us that much. But of course, it's good to be encouraged, right? But Indonesia is our country, is your country. If you think, Amway grow because of Amway company or Amway grow because of IBOs, I think, of course, the best answer is both. But the most important thing is IBO must grow first. Many people ask, maybe even ask yourself, your downline asks you, what is the future of Indonesia? And people sometimes complain about the quality of the people. I don't think only in Indonesia, but I think I have many Indonesian friends in Amway and also in other countries. Sometimes people tend to think about, it's about the Indonesian people. Sometimes they say, even in Thailand or in Philippines or in US, they say, yeah, sometimes they are lazy. I have to talk about this in public because it's not true. Maybe people sometimes they think that, okay, my group in Los Angeles, they say, sometimes this type of people, too lazy, they cannot do Amway. They don't have commitment. It's not about the country. Lazy people, people without commitment, this kind of species exists everywhere. So don't blame it on the Indonesians. Agree? At least Indonesia have people like you. Think, if all of us are legs to each other, for example, Johannes. I like your name. It sounds like Your Highness. Johannes, what if all of this is frontline to you? They're all platinums. You're going to be 3,000, 1,400 points. I think we used to think like that too, right? So this is the 20 years of hard work. Okay? But hard work in times of doubt doesn't mean anything. If you commit working together as the IBO, and this is one thing I love about Thailand. And Thailand and Indonesia, I think it's the same. It's the same Asian culture. You build it together, then you will grow together. Before I finish, give you one video. This is the video that my downline made for us. When we go out speaking for new people or leadership, this is also the video that we want to give it to the people to see. Nushi and I, we work so hard in Amway business, alongside with all of you. And of course, maybe we have to give one big applause for my wife too. She is not only a good wife, not only a good partner, but also a hot wife and all kind of everything in my life. Without her, without us working together, of course, we wouldn't get here. So I want to encourage you. I also have goals. We have big goals. And we also have disappointments. There are so many reasons encouraging us. And there are also things that discourage us. But as a leader, the ability you need is the ability to come back strong. Everybody lost hope. But leaders like Amway leaders, we need to learn how to revitalize those hopes. Maybe I share with you my goals. We are EDC in Thailand right now. We are working hard in Thailand and different markets like Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia. Oh, no, not Indonesia. Sorry, not Indonesia. The Philippines, Korea, and the US to build our Crown Ambassadorship. And according to the plan, by 2016, we will be Crown Ambassador. And I want you to have that kind of feeling, that kind of confidence. That's when you plan out, you do the work, you're going to get there. But make sure you build it right. Because if everything according to the plan, it's going to be like that very easy. But if you build it wrong, how many more years we have to spend fixing it? And as the leaders, I think fixing the lakes and building new lakes much more fun. But for leaders, I think we should come up with a plan to build new people and supporting the current leaders. Maybe it's not this year that you're going to hit it, but maybe in the next 3 years you're going to hit it. So by the age of 33, we'll be Crown Ambassador. Just I share with you. Then my wife and I was thinking, what's next? Of course, when you become Crown Ambassador, let me tell you this. When you get to Diamond, you have a good life. Ask the diamonds. When you get to Triple Diamond, you will have almost everything you will ever need. And when you become Crown Ambassador, I think you don't need to worry about anything anymore. But is that just one purpose in your life? Amway doesn't take 20 years to finish. 3 to 5 years with full focus, you can finish anything. So for us, what's next for us? Of course, we have a big goals for our group and also big expectations. We want to build 10 Crown Ambassador lakes. So it's a big thing, cannot accomplish alone. But that goal gives us more reason to get involved with the people in our group. If my goal is to become 40 points, I have to build more diamonds lakes, right? Of course, but we set another goals. We'll be Crown Ambassador in the US, 2 Crown Ambassador country by the age of 40. Just to give you an example. But when we have this kind of goals, you think it's more excited to go to work every day? So we feel like we're not working. We are not pressured by fiscal year. When you take fiscal year out of the equation, when you take qualification out of the equation and you focus on the people building the real solid business, you will get there faster. So I want to encourage you. This is not 50 years ago. This is the new Amway world. It's a $12 billion company. Even bigger than this. And a lot of people are watching us not in Amway. And I have a group of young people who are looking for directions. And instead of pointing them which is the right direction, which is the right example, be the right example and lead them. When you cut the speed factor out of the equation and focus solely on the core values of building Amway business, I believe your Amway will be different. And the feeling that you used to have for the past 20 years about building Amway business in Indonesia will be much better. So why don't make this day the beginning of the new Amway, the happy Amway? The only person that allowed to pressure yourself is you yourself. So let's watch the video together. The reason I want you to see these videos, I want to give you a visualization that all of these kids are mostly your sons and daughters' age. And they are platinum and above. In my group, first year, only me become platinum. Now we have over 100 of platinums in our group. And this year, we have new EDC in our group. We have new diamond at the age of 26. And these kids are younger than 30 and full-time, full heart. And they give it all they've got. And these people just have bachelor degree or master, or some of them might have PhD, but they never work in their life. Half of them started Amway like when they were still studying. But they chose to choose Amway out of many choices out there. May I have the 3 pictures, please? The slide. Last 3 pictures I want to share with you. I want to remind you, don't forget the real reason why we are in Amway. There's one uncle from Malaysia. I cannot remember his name. He's the one who shared me with this. And it reminds me of many legendary leaders. And the only way we can have all of this is we have to make decisions. When we join Amway, we might come because of financial reason and time freedom. So I believe most of us, these are the main 2 reasons in the beginning. And there's nothing wrong. It's legitimate. And it's a good thing to have motivation, to have financial freedom and time freedom. But don't forget that Amway also offers wellness, friends. And the most importantly is the meaningfulness by building the Amway business. So what I'm telling you is, by doing Amway, you're not going to get all. You will only get what you want to get. Yeah. So make sure, before we set up a goal for Amway Indonesia to become top 5, we all as the leaders have to set a clear goal. Why are we in Amway? When you become diamond, you become executive diamond or whatever pin you want, what kind of life you want. Next picture. I want to share with you with this. I've been talking about this house for the past 2 years. How many of you read the book called The Possible Dream? I read that book too. Smell very old too, the one that I have. You remember the cottage that Neil Maskin drive from Chicago to see Jay Van Andel and Rich DeVos? During our trip to Ada a couple years ago, we find some time to go hunt for that cottage. And so amazingly, we don't have the address. We just know it's in Brower Lake. Then we asked the neighbors. And funny thing is, they knew where Rich DeVos used to live. This is that house where Amway began. Of course, the front is renovated. Yeah. And asked him, since 1949, how many owners are there already for this house? This is the 7th owner of the house. Then we asked him, we said, we come from Thailand, very far, another part of the world, in case you don't know where it is. We come here to see the legend and the history where it began. It's changed our life. So the owner feel like we are so obsessed. So he told us, okay, come back again on Thursday. If you're still in town, we're going to throw you a party. Then we get in there. His name is Richard. And the one who took us there, named Steve. I want to show you the table. It's called the kitchen table of Brower Lake. That very table that the first plan of Nutrilite is drawn to the eyes of Jay Van Andel. The owner said he was the last guy who saw that kitchen. So he renovated that so he know where the table was. Are you ready for that picture? Yeah. This is the island on top of that valley, latitude and longitude according to the GPS. Yes. And we went in there and told him about the Amway story. He said he heard about it, but don't know what exactly it is. You live like a couple miles from Amway. You said you don't know what that is. I tell you more about Amway. When I was in Van Andel Arena somewhere, they have like a statue of Jay, right, in downtown Grand Rapids. I asked him, who is he? Some rich white guy. I said, what the heck? You don't know him? Even the people there, they still don't know who we are. But one thing I discovered, they're willing to know, learn more. So I'd like to set up a goal with all of you here to sponsor personal people. And it's the only way that we can grow Amway business. How big it is going to be? It's going to start from you building your personal. So I have my goals too. Starting August, I will move to the US in California. So then I sat down with my wife writing goals. What is my goals in Amway? I will sponsor new 50 people, 50 signups, and 50 new retail customers. And it's very tough for people like us and leaders like us to think of retail customers. If we want to rebuild Amway, we cannot just build leaders. We must build retail customers. Believe it or not, when you look at me, you might think I'm one of those people who just build leaders, huh? I love the classic Amway. And if we all set up this goal in your group that we're going to build 50 new customers and 50 new leaders, what's going to happen? Back to that table, I will tell you a story, last story before we finish today. You know, in that table, how many lives has been changed from that table? When I touched this island, of course, it's not exact the same island, but the same latitude. Rich DeVos wasn't even there. He came back later in the late night. Then Jay explained the plan to reach one more time on that table. It's not 1992. It started in 1949. With that effort of the plan from Neil Maskin, still come down to us in 2013. So when you think about energy that never stop and never ever finish, it's the energy of showing the plan. Even we die, the business is still there. And think about, for my example, the lines of a sponsorship from my group is from Dr. Jerry Del Silva in Malaysia. And I was sad to know that Dr. Jerry passed away even before I get to meet him, because he decided to do Amway in the 70s. And I'm pretty sure many of us here is also the downline from Dr. Jerry. I don't know, but it started all the way back in the US. For many lines of sponsorship, different way of doing Amway business, but they all roots back to the same table. So if you have a commitment to sponsor 50 more people, 50 more customers, show that to your downline, and that will change everything from the core. So the power that we are having now in this room is not the power of the moment. It's the energy that passes on from people to the people. And many MLM companies out there, and they are telling they are better than us. They don't have that table. Last thing, we all will die. Is it true? Do you think Amway will die? No, because of no, or no, because of no. I will tell you the reason that I kept thinking at night why Amway never dies. Amway company will never dies because the philosophy never dies. The product can be invented, but Amway will make sure, of course, I'm sure, that they're going to have even better products. But at the end of the day, nobody have philosophy like we do. Don't let the Amway heritage or the Amway's philosophy belongs to the old generation leaders. Keep it alive and pass on to your groups, because it's where everything begins. And the last thing, when you take a look at Amway, that matter the most is the philosophy that we have. I hope you get my point today. God bless you. And see you at the top. Thank you very much.
Bobby, thank you. Really well done. And it's so interesting after hearing you again now, but seeing you in other locations. It's fun to tell the story of this presentation. And we start out, it's all new, it's dramatic, it's the young, the youth. And it is. But I also remember when I was very small, going to Amway meetings when I was young, and those were the leaders I have seen in this business ever since I can remember. We have always been able to find and develop and connect to people throughout the generations. And you just do a beautiful job bringing it all together from the table. I have a confession to make. I have not been to that house where they went. You would think that I should probably take time to go there. But when he was in Ada and he was telling us of this story of going to see the house, I'm like, oh, I felt really guilty. I've never done that. But I have heard the story. And it is indeed the story of this business that started all those years ago, that brings us to today, and that will take us into the future. And I just want to start kind of reflecting a little bit on what Bobby talked about at the end. And that is the fact that this business was designed from the beginning to be a business that would last beyond lifetimes. In fact, when Jay Van Andel passed away in 2004, and we had a press conference with the news people in Ada to tell them that Jay had passed away. And at that press conference, my father made some comments. And for me, it was almost weird to see him speaking so positively, because he had just lost his best friend and his business partner from the beginning. And as he began to talk a little bit, it finally connected with me. That from the beginning of the business, there was always a question, would it start and then stop in their lifetime? Or would this business be strong enough to last beyond the lifetime of the founders? And it was their desire from the very beginning that this would be a business that would last beyond their lifetimes. Because in their minds, this was never a business about them. It always was and always will be a business about you. And your business isn't limited by somebody else's lifetime. Your business will only be limited by the goals and the dreams that you allow yourself to dream. And so I think that's a powerful thought for us to think about. In fact, we would joke sometimes about a meeting that Jay was answering some questions from an audience like this. And one of the questions was raised, what happens if you or Rich die? And that seems like a real sensitive subject and a difficult topic. And in the way that only Jay could answer, he looks at the person and says, what do you mean, if we die? Life has a start and a stop. But this business is not tied to one person's lifetime. This business is tied to all of us. And it needs to be our commitment to build it for the lifetimes of all of us here and for the new people who are going to be joining us in the days and years ahead. And so I'm glad that you raised that sensitive point, because it really allows us to understand the scope and the magnitude of what we're talking about here today. We're talking about a future and we're talking about a potential that is sometimes difficult for us to think through. And you've seen some of the goals and that have been laid out for the market here in Indonesia. And the fact that we believe them. We believe in the potential of this business. We believe in you. And we believe that the future has great things in store. The only question is if we're going to do it or not. What are we going to do about the potential that we know we have? What are we going to do to move it forward? Well, before I spend some time on all of that, I just want to recognize and I want to make sure I stop to just simply say thank you for where we are. We're in a good place. After over 20 years of operations here in Indonesia, we've had our ups and downs, but we're in a good, solid place right now. Do we all wish it was better? Sure. Do we all think of some things that went wrong or things that we should have done differently? Of course. But our job here today is not to look back. Our job here today is to look forward. And we are in a place today, we have a foundation today here in the marketplace that allows us to look forward with confidence. And I want to make sure I say thank you for that. I'm so thrilled to be able to be here personally to tell you that. To make sure you know that we are grateful for you, that we are thankful for you. To make sure you know we recognize the hard work and the diligent effort that you have put forth over the years. But I also want to let you know that we're just getting started. You know, Jim and Hankee and Kuhn talked about goals from the business perspective for the future. And I think my numbers are roughly accurate that less than 15 years ago, both Amway Korea and Amway China were about the size of Amway Indonesia today. Close. But as Jim spoke, what happened? What was that 1 degree of difference? Or what was that collection of activities that brought that 1 degree of difference? That took it from a business that was good, but ended up moving it forward and making it great. You know, it would be fun to say there was just one secret ingredient or just one magical event. But the reality is it was a collection of decisions by individuals who decided to do something different going forward. They decided to rise to a challenge similar to what Bobby just talked about. To go find some new customers, to go find some new distributors, and take another bold step forward. We can talk about this stuff for a long time, but the question is, as always, are you going to do it? So let me leave that out there hanging around again, and let me spend some time just reminding ourselves on the why. You know, why do we spend all this time and all this effort? And it was reflected beautifully in the images that Bobby had up here, from talking about meaningfulness and moving forward, relationships and friendships. And the fact that in the Amway business, it's all about people. Many years ago, when I graduated from college, I had the range of opportunities. What do I want to do? Do I really want to work at Amway? And there was a friend of our family's who really challenged me on that desire, because I always thought I wanted to work at the company. And he challenged me and he said, don't just think you want to do it. You've got to believe on the inside. If you want to be there, because if you're one of the family members and you're kind of just doing it because there's nothing better to do, you're going to cause a lot of problems. You need to make a commitment to it. And I had to spend some time and really look at myself and say, okay, am I there? Now, it didn't take me very long. I did always know I wanted to be part of this business. I grew up loving every bit of this business. And I grew up in a very spoiled environment, not from a financial perspective, but from a personal perspective. I had a chance to meet and be with people who were positive and encouraging virtually my whole life. And I came back to this person who challenged me and I said, I want to be a part of this business because this business has the greatest capacity to help people live better lives than any other organization in the world. And that's what we're talking about. That's why we do this, because no other business has the ability to impact somebody's life for the good the way that we can when we work together in this business. Right? You don't find Amway, it finds you. I'm going to be stealing a lot of your stuff, but when you start to think about that opportunity, that's what compels us. The why of this business is that we have a chance to turn that vision of helping people live better lives into a reality. The why is that there continues to be people all over the world desperately looking for an opportunity like this. And they don't know how to describe it in words. Maybe they didn't get the right book and be able to direct them to this business. Maybe they didn't spend the time doing the research. Maybe they need you to find them, right? I'm always amazed when I talk to some of the leaders in the business about how they got in and how many of them joined with only one person contacting them ever. And they weren't expecting it. They didn't know it. They weren't looking for it. But yet somebody else took the time, took the risk, and brought them an opportunity, and it changed their life. And so I want you to understand what you really have. Yeah. It's not that you're just going to find another customer or that you're just going to sponsor somebody. It's that you are offering an opportunity for a different path in their lives that could change their life for the better. Now, it may have that impact on them, or it may not. But that's up to them. The opportunity we have is to share with them the opportunity to have that change. So I just, there are so many things that come through my mind as we have an opportunity to be here. And I sometimes find it difficult of trying to get all the words out of all the things I want to say because of all the things I believe. So I just want to, I want to bring ourselves around the why and make sure we understand the purpose that we're moving forward like I just discussed. And let you know that as we look around the world, we continue to see this opportunity be relevant for people who are searching. People young and old, and especially young at heart, continue to be attracted to this business because they're attracted to people like you. And the best way to be attractive to those people is not by a fancy presentation or by pointing at other sort of things. It's just by being genuine in who you are and taking the risk to do it now. Because the reality is we're never going to get it perfect, are we? We're never going to have the perfect presentation or the perfect line or the perfect way to position things. We're all going to have to just muddle through and do it the best we can. But the important part is that we do it. So I wanted to share a couple of these thoughts. I have a few more things I want to share, but I also wanted to talk about some things that might be a little bit more relevant here for you. So I asked the staff to kind of talk to a few folks and bring some questions back that maybe I could respond to as part of the presentation, and then I'd like to come back and maybe pull it all together as we wrap up here.
What does it take for this market to be as successful as markets such as Thailand? We talk about the big potential of this market, and what does it take?
I first have to say, what's the obsession with Thailand? And when I was in Vietnam, they're always saying, we want to be like Thailand. So can our future be like that of Thailand? Well, first of all, what a great target. What a great place Thailand is. I love it. But don't limit yourself. Let's be Indonesia. And the things that brought Thailand forward are the same things that have brought every successful market forward and the same things that are going to work here, and we've just gone through them. We're going to be successful in Indonesia because you are going to be successful. That's how it's going to work. We certainly can't do it ourselves. We have to do it in partnership. There are some things we can do as the company to create a good environment, a reputation in the marketplace, to give you the support you need, bringing in the right products and the right operational support. And then there's things we can do to kind of remove the barriers to build the business. But it's your business, and we can't do it for you. We will partner with you, but we're going to be as big as Thailand and other markets because you're going to do the activities and take the actions necessary, just like leaders in those markets have done. That's how it's worked since the business started, and that's how it's going to work in the future as well. But what a great target to think about, because Thailand is a great story. And to try to make sure that we build it with the same strength and for the same amount of pace of growth over an extended period of time, those are great elements for us to think through. And again, Bobby's comment of building it right, it's a lot easier to build it right and to work with new folks than it is to keep having to go back and try to fix something when we didn't do it right in the first place. Okay, so enough about that one. What's next?
It's been over 50 years. The question is whether this business is still relevant today.
I think we answered that one, and I'll just expand a little bit. That we've had growth 12 of the last 13 years. We've had record years the past 7 years. That growth is not just in one market. That growth is in markets like Indonesia and other markets all around the world. So it's widespread. That growth includes all ages, includes all nationalities or backgrounds or socioeconomic backgrounds as well. That's been the story of our business. We have continued to be relevant in the marketplace. Now that takes work. We have to challenge ourselves to still understand the marketplace and stay that way going forward with the products we offer, with the opportunity that's there and the support that is given, and all that together, how it builds the reputation in the marketplace. Those are all important elements, but this business is relevant and provides a great foundation for a great future. All right, give me another one.
Okay, I'll give you another question. People are talking about entrepreneurship, and people want to be entrepreneurs, especially at this age. I mean, modern age, people are more open and see that entrepreneurship is something. But the question from these leaders is, what makes a good entrepreneur?
Look in the mirror and look in your heart. I think there's some elements you could talk about being opportunistic and being diligent, and all those things are good. But I'd go back to what Hankee was talking about trying that next time and never giving up. I'd say the most critical part of being an entrepreneur is the attitude that you are going to work through any challenge and be able to succeed. At Amway over the years, people would joke that we never use the word problem at Amway. New employees would join the company, they say, you never talk about problems around here. And to a certain extent, that's true, because we always had the attitude that it wasn't a problem, it was simply a challenge. It's not something that's going to stop us from moving forward. It's merely something that we're going to have to be creative to work through. But we are going to get through it. And that's funny, because that's not the way the world always sees it. I did an interview in Russia a few years ago, right in the height of the global economic crisis, right, 2009. And the reporter said, what is Amway's plan because of the economic crisis? And then she said, what's your product strategy because of the economic crisis? And every question she asked, she ended with, because of the economic crisis. And I finally reached out my hand and I grabbed her arm and I said, it's going to be okay. I felt like I was in a counseling session. I said, we're going to get through it. But that's not the way a lot of people in the world think. And so it's up to us as entrepreneurs to make sure that we still think that way and then we put that into action.
Okay, another question. We have always been told that Amway is the leader in the industry of direct selling. Are we number one yet?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have always talked about, and for years Amway has been, a leader in our industry. But last year, we did become number one. So in the midst of congratulating all you for that, let me also put it in context like my father did. We had a management meeting early in the year, and we knew that we were going to be number one, and we have since been recognized in some other forums as being the largest direct selling company. So for our management meeting, Dad did a video to congratulate everybody. So he made the announcement and said congratulations, and everybody applauded. And then he paused for a moment and he said, so now that we're number one, so what? We got to get back to work. We got to challenge ourselves to be better. We've got to be even better than we were to get here. We have to keep growing. We have to defend and extend our position. And so we've decided, well, we're going to recognize it. We know that we have done that, but we're not going to dwell on it, because being number one means much more than just a point in time. Being number one is an attitude that we must have about being the best and challenging ourselves every day to be even better. And so we're not going to dwell on that or compare ourselves in that sense. We're going to challenge ourselves to continue to be better as we go forward. And that's the message we all have to have when it comes to our role in the industry.
What are the future plans for product innovation? Amway is making a significant investment in manufacturing and R&D. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah, we continue to invest dramatically in our research and development capabilities, in our manufacturing capabilities, and operational capabilities around the world. And that's one of the elements I say in creating the environment, but that's providing the support, making sure that we have the infrastructure to support your business, and especially the size of it. So there's a lot of folks who are a lot smarter than me that are always thinking about how we do that best. For Steve and myself, it's very simple. Our commitment is to give you and leaders around the world the support that you need, and to make sure we are thinking about market trends and what's going to be happening in the marketplace 3, 5, and 10 years into the future. And that we're preparing ourselves from a product standpoint, from an operational standpoint, from an opportunity standpoint to be there. So the growth of the business makes it very challenging, because as the business goes global, we've had to change a lot of things in the past 5, 10 years. But we're happy to make those investments, and we're happy to improve and build on the business in all those ways, because we know that it does a better job of supporting you, and that's our commitment. So we will continue to do that.
This is probably the last question.
Okay.
How can Amway as a company strategically attract new people to excite people about the business? What is the company doing to differentiate from the competition to attract young people to the business?
Well, I think you heard that answer. And our best way to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace is to make sure we're really good at simply telling our story. Our whole story. From the kitchen table till today. From the business opportunity and high qualifications to the products and the basic value. From different types of support, from manufacturing or research and development to technology. And every time I hear or have a discussion with folks about the latest competition, I go back and say, golly, we've had this since I can remember. I was in market research when I was in college working at Amway in the summertime. And I was asked to do some analysis on competitive companies, and I did a lot of research, and there was a couple things I found. One was virtually every competitor compared themselves to Amway. They would all look at Amway and somehow say, we're just like Amway, only better. They made all these sorts of claims, but it always started with, we're just like Amway, and then they would add this or that. That was the second thing I found, was that all these people who made all these dramatic claims all went broke. Sometimes it took a competitor 2 years to go broke. Sometimes it took them 5 years, sometimes maybe 10. But they eventually all failed. So I thought the claim should be, we're just like Amway, except we went broke. So I think when everyone's going to compare themselves to us. And we have a lot of very honorable competitors in the direct selling industry that they do their thing and they try to be the best they can be, and that's fine. But then there's going to be a group that's going to try to steal your people and going to try to do something to say, oh, we're just like Amway, only you can make more money in the short term. Only you don't have to work as hard. Only you just have to do this or that. And I think that, the biggest thing we have to do is have confidence to say nobody is just like Amway but Amway. And say if you were just like Amway, they wouldn't be competing with us. They'd join us because we're the best thing that's out there. Now, I know we're not perfect. And I say that we're the best in the broadest context, knowing that we can be better. But we are looking for the opportunities that exist that we could bring into our business to make this business even better. And I think that's the beauty of this business, is we can adapt and we can move quickly to respond to market conditions. But we can do it from a foundation of strength that stands the test of time. And I think that's the best of both worlds, and that's why I'm so confident in our future.
I think that's it.
That's all the questions?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, thanks,
you. Andy.
Yep, thank you.
Well, but I do want to just maybe have a couple thoughts to close as we end our time as we gathered here today. And just say that we look at our future in this business with confidence because we look at you. And maybe there's just a few things I could offer as we wrap things up here for you to think about as you go forward from here. One, keep it simple. Stick to why we're in business. Stick to those things that we know, but don't let anything stop you from talking about this business and finding new people. Even at a leadership level, people will say, I don't know enough yet to talk to somebody. Or they'll find some reason that they think they may not be good enough. I had a leader that I worked with in the UK who always said, this is a simple business. It's not easy, but it's simple. And you just heard it earlier. Find customers, sponsor somebody. Find some more customers, sponsor some more. Get some leader in your group, help them find some customers and sponsor some people. And you keep doing it. It's a pretty simple business. And when you get it in your mind and define it in a way that's simple, then it's easy to talk to people and it's easy to communicate. If you think it's complicated, then it'll be hard for you to communicate and share the simple truths of the business. Second thing, do it right. There's no shortcuts in this business. As much as people would try to say, oh, here's the magic new way to grow faster, those things don't work. Go back to number one. Find a customer, find a new prospect. I don't know how, throughout the past in this business, how many people have gotten themselves into trouble because they tried to find a shortcut. They didn't want to listen to their upline. They didn't want to listen to the company. They went off on their own, and they ended up hurting themselves and sometimes hurting other people. So let's help ourselves just stay on the track. It's proven, no shortcuts, but yet still you can get to where you want to go. The third thought to think about, be accountable. A lot of times news people will ask Steve and me, what's it like to be a co-CEO? All right, because CEOs are supposed to be the one person in charge and they all want all the power and that sort of thing. They say, how do you figure out how to do it together? Well, there's a couple reasons. First, we've always done it that way, so it makes sense to us and it fits. But the second thing that I think about a lot is it has you in the spirit of partnership being accountable to somebody and taking the time to listen to somebody and to talk with somebody first before you just make a decision all by yourself, and to consider different alternatives and to have a safe place to talk with somebody, but also be accountable to actually take the action you're thinking about. When you're going to set goals and dreams for yourself, they have to have a timeline on it, and you have to force yourself to take that action, because the easiest person to fool is yourself. So be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to your spouse, accountable to your upline and your downline. And when you live in that world of talking to people and being accountable, it helps you be a better person as well. Let me add on my next one to what Bobby talked about. Said you got to dream and set big goals. I loved hearing Kuhn and Hankee and Jim talk about we have big dreams in the company of what you can do. Sometimes other people can dream bigger for you than you even dream for yourself. But we can't make our dreams your dreams or our goals your goals. Only you can do that. And so I want you to encourage yourself and to think about doing that now. And that leads to my next point of just simply make the decision. There's a time to talk about things. There's a time to think about things. There's a time to ponder and be thoughtful. And then there's a time to just simply take action. I've had a lot of sensitive business issues when I needed to talk to somebody and deliver bad news. And I used to spend all my time thinking about it, making myself miserable in the process because I wanted to set it up just perfect. And finally, I realized that the best thing to do is either pick up the phone or walk in the hall to see somebody and just have the discussion. So at some point in the process, make the decision and do it. The next one I would suggest to you is to stay adventurous. I don't care how old you are or how long you've been in this business. It's all about an adventurous attitude. Are you still thinking about new things? Are you still willing to take risks? And I want to encourage you to do it. Keep thinking those things. Keep challenging yourself. And have the right attitude as you approach anything that you have in the business. And the last thing I would say is stay curious. Somebody had mentioned to me once that maturity or being mature was defined as when people stop being curious. And we all know what that looks like, right? It looks like an older person that says, don't tell me I know it all. I've been in the business 20 years. I've seen it all. I know it all. Yep, thanks for that, but I saw that before. We did that 10 years ago. It didn't work. Oh, saw somebody else do that 5 years ago. It didn't work there. So many reasons to stop being curious, right? Don't buy it. Stay curious. We had a presentation recently with our family, and it was a guy telling his story about climbing Mount Everest. It was dramatic, all the things that he went through and how challenging and difficult it was. And then he talked about getting to the summit, and then that was the end of his presentation. Anybody have any questions? And my father was the first one to raise his hand. 87 years old. I think he might have been a little tired listening to the story. He raises his hand and he said, how'd you get down? I heard the whole story of how you got up there. How'd you get back? All right? Keep being curious. Right? Just because somebody tells you this whole long story doesn't mean there's more to the story, or there isn't more to the story. Find out. And especially when it comes to a new person you meet. So much fun to talk about ourselves and our business when the most important thing they need to know is that we care about them. At a Founders Council meeting a number of years ago, my father was making the presentation. And he said, here we are with just incredible leaders in the Amway business from all over the world. And you guys are great and important. But it's our job as leaders to remember that the most important person is the new person who's joining the business. And that our job as leaders is to work together to make this business the best it can be for the new person. And the words that my father spoke to that group are true here for all of us today. Our job as leaders to reach the full potential of your business and the whole market in Indonesia is to make sure that this business is the best it can be for that new person. And that we reach out together so that they have the best experience and the best opportunity for success. And when we do that, all the goals and the dreams that we talk about for this market will start to be realized. And I'm excited to be part of that process and part of this business with all of you. Thank you very much.